Again, I have to respond to Barrett Roseanne Jagdeo's rant. You know, the only way I can describe Barrett Jagdeo is as an imp. When this man cannot deal with the arguments that people raise, he lifts up his frock and abuse. I'm not going to abuse today, but I'm going to dissect what he would have said so people will understand. This man lacks the intellectual capacity to analyze things and to respond to people in a sound intellectual way. As a consequence, he resorts to abusing. He ranted and raved about what Hamilton Green said. But he failed to even challenge one thing that Hamilton Green spoke about. Hamilton Green pointed out clearly, why is it Forbes Burnham is superior to Cheddy Jagan in terms of the nomenclature, father of the nation. But he can't respond to the argument, so he merely abuses. But look, Guyanese, we have to be clear. What Jagdeo is doing here is to seek to shift attention away from himself. First of all, right now, he's embroiled in a 35 million EID card scandal in which the whole country recognizes that this is another scam. Because all around, people are saying you can get those ID cards for less than half of that amount. So he wants to distract. But let us focus. He's involved in a very terrible transaction that is going to cost Guyana money. He also wants to distract from the high cost of living. We gave him a number of proposals in the budget to deal with the high cost of living. We gave him a number of proposals in the budget to deal with poverty, but they cannot because they are so greedy. They are focusing everything on infrastructure so that they can enjoy the corruption that comes from that. And so we must understand what he's doing. He's trying to shift away, distract people from the fact that the government is under consistent criticism for its racism. Abusing cannot remove the fact that this government is racist and is discriminating against people. He is trying to shift focus away from the fact that they promised 50,000 jobs and they cannot deliver it. And they start to deliver 10 days work, and even that they can't organize because the people are not getting work to do, and many of them have got to wait long for the money. So let us understand that Jagdeo lacks the intellectual capacity to respond to arguments that are well made. And that is why he ended up abusing Comrade Hamilton Green and calling him a fossil. He has an obsession with fossil, but in this case, it's fossil fuel. Oil is sending him mad. And as people call for transparency and accountability, he's getting even more mad. And so, but let's look at him talking about people don't want this country to be placed in the hands of the youth. The person who can be accused of not placing this country in the hands of the youth is you, Barrett Jagdeo. You don't even allow young Irfan Ali to have a press conference by himself. No minister of your government can have a press conference on their own. Everything is about you. That is not promoting youth, that is promoting dictatorship. You are a dictator. And the man is so confused. He said that the APNU AFC had no plans. But in the very conversation, he criticized David Patterson's plan for a high-span bridge over the Demerara River, criticized the feasibility study, and then own it as if it is his. It is the APNU AFC ID piloted by David Patterson. And so how do you on the one hand say there are no plans and then discuss one of the plans? It's a high level of contradiction and stupidity. And then he proceeds to talk about building 5 highways. Let me remind Barry Jagdeo that one of the highways he's talking about is the road from Linden to Mobura, a road which they didn't want to build, a road which the program was developed by the APNU AFC. And when they came to power, they decided that they will not do it. It is pressure from the British that is causing them to do that road. So don't come as if you have plans for highway. There was also, Patterson was also working on a plan road from Soesdijk to Ogle. And that idea has been there since Burnham time. And Patterson was about to implement it. Now, you should be the last person to speak. Everything you handle smacks incompetence. You had the East Bank Road congested. Rather than follow Patterson's proposal and do the road from Soesdijk to Ogle, you bring a road down Mandela Avenue, Sherrill Street, and now you have made that street congested, and you're fighting to do ancillary streets so people could come off of the road. That is incompetence. That is not a plan. You have no plan. Your only focus is on getting rich at the expense of the people. You build Diamond, made it a cul-de-sac, and people couldn't get out. Now you're trying to rectify them. You are creating more problems. So don't tell us but no plans. We always have plans, and you are now owning some of our plans like if it is your own. And you're complaining about COVID. I wonder if you forgot that you told people that you had a plan to deal with COVID. So don't come now crying that you inherited the problems with COVID. You purported to have a plan when you didn't have any. So we know what you're doing. You're seeking to distract from the high level of corruption. It is your own Ralph Ramkaran who described your government as a kleptocracy. For those who don't know, a kleptocracy is a government of thieves. It is not we in the PNC that said that. It is Ralph Ramkaran, looking at the behavior of the PPP, concluded that you're a highly kleptocratic party. It is unbelievable that you can talk about competence. You cannot show one successful project throughout your time. Time and time again, we have pointed out, Skeldon failed under you. Fiber optic cable, you had the most scams in the world, and yet you will use the word integrity? By Jagdeo, you have to be a joke. If you believe in yourself, come let us debate. I've said that before. You like abusing by yourself. Let us have a debate on the development of these countries and ideas for the development of this country. You cannot do that. You talk about rigged elections. You are known for being involved in election irregularities and illegalities. If you believe you can win a free and fair election, then stop the argument. Let's have a clean voters list and biometrics. Nobody would be able to thief, and there'll be no accusation. So I'm saying this to you. Agree to a clean voters list and biometrics tomorrow morning, and let us go to the election. You are a complete failure. You are incompetent. And so don't go down the road. Now you're talking about building 12 hospitals. Again, a scheme for corruption. You have to first improve the health system. Hospitals don't make a health system work. It is the human resource in there and the systems to deliver on health. We inherited from you in 2015 a hospital in which maternal deaths were high. We brought those maternal deaths down, and now you are back up with your maternal deaths. Telling us you will build 12 hospitals is just telling us you're giving contracts to the boys. It doesn't tell us how you're going to improve the health system. It doesn't tell you why now in Albyston, Charlestown, you can't go to any of the clinics where you close down one virtually and get any of the pharmaceuticals recommended. Yet you are talking about hospitals. We need a proper health system. Hospitals by themselves do not constitute the improvement in the health system. What it constitutes is an opportunity for your illegalities. And I want to say this to you. In power, Forbes Burnham delivered the most to the people of Guyana. When Forbes Burnham came to power in 1964, they didn't have 6 secondary schools in this country. When he left power, there were secondary schools all over this country. When Forbes Burnham came to power, Barra Jagdeo, there were Red Road from Coriverton right down to Georgetown. East Bank was red mud all around. It is Forbes Burnham that built the network of roads in this country. And so I don't know if you believe by just getting up there and lying every time you will succeed. A liar, some people say, is a thief, but I wouldn't call you that. But I just want you to note that most people in this country believe that a lawyer is a thief. And I want to say this to you. In our budget presentations, we showed you that we have plans. And I will speak again on us recommending a rent-to-own, which would help the people of Guyana, but you too shame to adopt it. You are not anything of consequence. You have been a failed leader. You should go into the sunset and allow the very young people you talk about to emerge. Because at present, all you're doing is ensuring that Guyana doesn't develop. You had the face to talk about increase in non-oil production sector. It is so ridiculous. I do not believe you still have human qualities. I believe you lack the intellectual capacity to be involved in sensible, organized debates, and therefore you are forced to resort to becoming a yard fowl that abuses with no sound ideas for the development of Guyana. And as to the changes in the PSA, it is not you that make the changes. What some of the things you have adopted is that came from us. They came from Glenlal and others. You have no original ideas of your own except this desire to get wealthy at the expense of the people of Guyana. The Guyanese people, I'll say to you, let us focus on the issues in Guyana and do not be carried away by this madman abusing every time people make serious challenges to his incompetence, the government's incompetence, the government corruption, and government discrimination. Do not be fooled by Barra Jagdeo. Many of the other issues I will deal with in the coming week. Thank you.